and welcome to the Godly Playroom in Wetaskiwin. My name is Sherry Krause, and with me today are Jackie and Ruth. And I'm so glad you could join me for our story and our wondering today. First, we will get our light. This is very important always, but today it's especially important. Once there was someone who said such amazing things and did such wonderful things that people would follow him. And one time when they were following him, they said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am the light." And in that one place, and now I'm adding it to this light. Look at that. Lots of light. Well, I hope you've been enjoying the longer days. I know I sure have. I really enjoy it when I get up in the morning and there's light. I'm not getting up in the dark all the time. And when I go feed my cats in the evening, I can go out there without a flashlight. It's such a good feeling. And I think, though, we'll get right into our story because it's kind of a big story. So do you think you're ready for that? This is the greatest parable. It comes from Sacred Story Shelf. It sits up like a sacred story, but it's not really like a sacred story. It's gold, like a parable, and it's got a lid like a parable. But it's not really like a parable. Look at its shape. It's a triangle, not a square. At the top it has a purple cross on it. It's sort of like we're getting ready for the mystery of Easter. But it's not a liturgical story. It's not on the liturgical shelf. It came from the New Testament shelf. And if you look close, there's 4 little crosses on it. They are for the gospel writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The stories that we're going to hear today come from the Gospels. This is the most curious box in this room. It's so curious that we need to have a prologue before we tell the story. A prologue is something that comes before a story, sort of like the prologue in John's Gospel. This prologue has some tricks with words in it. It's about the words in the Gospels and the Word. In the beginning, there was the Word. God spoke everything into being. But yet God was hard to find in creation. Do you see my words? No. Are they there? Yes. So God sent the Word, and the Word became a person. This was to help us learn how to be God's children by knowing a child of God. Now we'll hear more about that story if you're ready. But we do need an underlay. So, I chose this underlay. And it's very big, very white. This is the Mother Mary, and this is the angel Gabriel, full of light. The angel Gabriel is speaking to Mary. The word angel means messenger of God. He's telling her that she's been chosen to have a child. And in time, she had a child. That child grew into the man Jesus. One day Jesus took his friends, 3 of his friends, they were disciples, up the mountain. Here you can see the 3 men looking at the 3 men in the distance, full of light. They are Moses, Elijah, and Jesus. The 3 men looking on are Peter, James, and his brother John. Moses and Elijah lived hundreds of years before Jesus. Then a cloud came and they were overshadowed. The disciples were so frightened they fell to the ground. But Jesus came to them and touched them and said, "Rise, don't be afraid." When they looked again, Moses and Elijah were gone, and there was just Jesus. And then they went down the mountain and started towards Jerusalem for the last time. And then they came to Jerusalem. And on Good Friday, Jesus died on the cross, and he was placed within a rock tomb, and a large stone was rolled over like a locked door. On Holy Saturday, the darkness overshadowed him. And then, on Sunday, the first Easter, the women came and found the stone had been rolled away. And Jesus was with them, and with the first followers of him in a different way. This is the Annunciation. The angel is announcing to Mary she will have a child. This is the Transfiguration. Jesus was transfigured. He was made different, although he looked the same. And this is the Resurrection. God came to Mary. God came to the disciples on the mountain. And God came to the women and the first followers, just as God comes to us. So that's a lot of story to wonder about. There's even more to this story. This is just the first part. There's other parts to it, and I hope that someday you'll get to hear that part of the story too. But for this part of the story, we're not going to have any wondering questions. There's already a lot to wonder about. So I'm going to start to put the story away, and you can think about what you're going to do for your response time. The Annunciation. The Transfiguration. And the Resurrection. If you haven't got your response materials ready yet, you can stop the video and go get them ready. But if you are ready, then we'll get right into it. I found there was an awful lot in this story to wonder about. It has some really big words in it. It's kind of heavy and quite theological. That's a big word too. So it took me a long time to decide what I would do for a response. I had to really think about the story for a long time. So if you have to do that, that's just fine. So when I finally did think about a response, what I thought about in this story was all the light in it. In the first one, with the Annunciation, there was light. The angel Gabriel was full of light. And there was the light of the birth of a new baby. And in the Transfiguration, the figures on the mountain were full of light. And I thought about the light of finding a place and a purpose. And then there was all the light in the last one, in the resurrection, because Jesus became the light of the world. So I decided I'm going to think about light. And I do my response time. So I have some dark paper here because it's always easier to see the light when there's some dark too. So one of my favorite things that are made of light is the sun. I found a little puffball. Here's a little puffball. That's my sun. It even has little things coming off of it. It's just perfect. So there's the sun. So that's one kind of light, made of atoms fusing. It's quite fascinating. And what else do we see for light? Oh, in the nighttime we see stars. Yes, I found some little stars, and they're even the shape of stars, so I don't have to cut them out, so that's awesome. I'll put some stars in the sky. But stars are actually just suns in other solar systems. They certainly brighten up a dark sky. Oh, here's a green one. I don't know if there's any green stars, but we're going to put some on. There's some stars. What else? I have lots of things. Oh yes. I found some pipe cleaners that I'm hoping I can cut. That's good. So you know what these are? They're logs. Because I like campfires. In the summer, in the winter, it's always fun to sit around a fire, and it always reminds me of of times with family and friends, maybe roasting a hot dog, keeping warm. It makes such a nice light on a dark night. Well, it's not really like logs in a campfire because they're not gluing on quite like, oh, there we go. Oh, I think I need more glue. Here's some tissue paper. So I think I can make that into little flames. It's just some yellow and orange and red tissue paper. Kind of look like a fire. What else do I have here? Oh, you know what this kind of reminds me of is the creation story. The very first day. The very first day there was light. And it was all the light that was light. So I could make, oh I know, a candle. That's a very important one, because that reminds us of the light of the world. And I am the light. I'll make that one with crayon. There we go, there's a candle. Kind of. I'm better at gluing things on than I am of drawing. And I've got some string here, colored string. Not all the colors. I could use a few more colors. But what also reminds me of light are rainbows, because a rainbow is actually light that has of different wavelengths. Been broken into the different wavelengths, and yet it's all just light. So it just yes, the waves, different wavelengths, and so this kind of reminds us of all the different wavelengths and diversity there is, but it's still all just light. Well, that's a funny looking rainbow. That's okay. I need purple and red, but I'll find some later. And then I found this little sea creature, a foamy sea creature. There's some creatures that live so deep down in the ocean there is no light there, so they have to make their own light. It's called bioluminescence. So this little sea creature reminds me of the light way down deep in the ocean where it's really dark. I think that's enough. I guess I could have made light bulbs and my grow lights that I have on now for my plants that I've started. That's a wonderful kind of light. There's all kinds of light. Well, I hope that you found something to do in response to this story. And pretty soon we're going to get ready for feast. So you can stop the video and find something for feast. Welcome back. I was just thinking about our story today and about response time, and it reminded me of a song that I really like. But I won't sing it for you because you wouldn't want to hear that. So I'll say the words. I am the light of the world. You people come and follow me. If you follow and love, you'll learn the mystery of what you were meant to do and be. Amen. do have two people here who could sing it, but I'm ready for my water. So it just makes me think about finding a purpose and that part of the story and that part of the song. I think though that time really changes over time. A little bit of very crumbly pumpkin cake here. I don't eat it from my pumpkins, but it's very crumbly. Because I think when I was a child and a teenager, my purpose was to go to school and to play and to learn about the world. And then when I got older, I decided to have a career as a medical laboratory technologist. And for many years that was my purpose. And it was a very rewarding and challenging and it's a hard job, but it was very much worth it because I could help people and I could do science. So then later I became a mom. That was a very big purpose. A very wonderful and life-changing purpose. But then the children, they grow up and they leave, and you're still a mom. You're a mom forever, but your purpose changes a little bit. So then, after a while, I retired from my career that I had for 35 years. So then I had to go back to learning and figuring out what my work would be. So then I decided to learn more about gardening and plants and soap making and pickling and all that sort of stuff. So that became my new purpose. So you can see where what you do and who you are in your place in this world can change over time. Now I'm about to become a grandmother. So now I'll have a whole new role, a whole new place and purpose. Very exciting. It's crumbly, but pretty good. I wonder if this week you'll think about some of that, what your work will be, what your purpose will be, and where you can find the light in that. But I think it's time to change our light. Here's a bit of the light that is all light. Then I'll change it. Oh, it's sort of like words. Can't really see it, but it's there. Well, I hope this week finds you safe and well. Goodbye.